Okay, that's better. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. Um, you know where I've been. Not here because I haven't felt like cooking. But I'm here now, so you're welcome. Let me switch over this. Okay. Ah. So, chicken noodle soup. We're gonna go over here real quick. Cook cam. We have, wow, even with it freaking adjusted, it's still nasty. Um, Chicken stock that is concentrated. Wow, you know what? Let me fix this because it's gonna bug the crap out of me. I thought I had it fixed. For the stock, we have 6 cups of boiling hot water out of my tea kettle because that's what I had available that was big enough. Hmm. Turn this on. Hot. Turn it down to low. Go back over here. Yeah. Ooh, excuse me. Here. Oh, that looks so much better. Add up. Saturation. Look, my hand isn't whited out anymore. Okay, so we have 6 cups of boiling water. We have concentrated homemade roasted chicken stock. And all I'm doing here is simmering everything together, and I'm going to season this. Because the chicken stock was completely unseasoned, there was no flavor at all but chicken. Well, it's stock, so there was other flavor, but I'm gonna throw a couple sprigs of thyme and some rosemary in here because I want that in my soup. And this is kind of gonna be a knockoff of Campbell's. So I'm gonna use chicken breast. I'm gonna chop it up really fine. I am doing homemade noodles. You don't have to use homemade noodles, and you can use any kind of shape of pasta you want, but my significant other asked for egg noodles, so we're going to be doing them in egg noodle style, a thin. And we'll chop up some chicken, we'll put that in there to cook. I will be using chicken fat, which you can kind of see a shimmer of a little bit on here already from the chicken stock. I'll be using chicken fat and xanthan gum to thicken this. because I want to be able to freeze it. And with using cornstarch or flour in a roux, you can't freeze it. It won't hold its viscosity. It will get all nasty and gross when you freeze it. But so, 6 cups of stock. I'm going to grab this chicken and a knife. Alright, I'm gonna switch back over to the prep. So I've just a chicken breast. Ordinary, everyday chicken breast. Nothing special, nothing fancy. Skinless, boneless. It is the worst thing to ever cook as a whole thing. It's great for making other stuff out of it, but as an actual part of a dish, like, you know, you're having chicken breast, this is the worst way to have it. And I'm going to take this sinew off. This is where the joint was, but I want to keep the chicken because I'm just chopping it up anyway. And you see this line of fat right here? This right here, where all this stuff is at, it's going to slide your knife in right underneath it. Carefully slide it out, and then come back around, take the whole section off, no problem. I'm going to take this leftover membrane and this little bit of fat here off. Leave as much meat as you can. That's unacceptable right there. I'm going to keep that. There we go. See? This little bit, because I don't need any of this. I'm going to chop this up super tiny, so I don't need any of that mess, because this is, like I said, it's faux Campbell's. So it'll be super small, because that's what condensed soup has, right? It has little tiny bits of chicken. Now mine will be a little bit bigger, but I mean still, this is what we're shooting for here. This right here, those are bits and pieces of chicken. That's what we're shooting for, right like that. What I'm gonna do is take our tenderloin off. Set that aside. Now chicken breast runs in 2 different directions on the protein, so you kind of have this swoopy line, and you can see where it swoops around. When it starts going down this way, we're going to cut it right there in half. Okay? So when we cut this now, we cut it 2 different ways. This one, you can actually look at the lines. I don't know if you can see them on camera, but the lines go like this. So we cut this one this way against the grain to make it softer pieces. This one, we cut this way because it runs like this. And we're just cutting them into strips. I said I am cutting this small. And I just cut these bigger ones right in half. This piece is real easy to do this with the tail part. When we get to the bigger one, I'll show you a trick on how to do that so you get the same effect. Watch your fingers. Don't want you cutting anything off and ending up in the soup. Now, I'm using 1 chicken breast. This is right around a pound of chicken. A little over, give or take, to the 6 cups. because it's going to be pasta. Now your end here, and take a little slice, and we're going to start like we're butterflying it right down to the end, right? And then, well, if it was cut even, we could do this. There we go. And now you have thinner strips already. You just take all these right here. And we have our chopped up chicken bits here. Tenderloin, same thing. It runs this way, the same as the tail. Well, here, yeah, this way. So we want to cut it like this. But it's also tiny and it's odd. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to chop off these ends here. I'm going to slice it right in half. Right here. And there's all our chicken bits. And all this just goes right into the pot just like this. Nice and easy because the stock is already getting warm. I used boiling water. I'm just going to set this all in. I have to use my knife here because these bits are sticking a little bit. Here we go. Okay. It's good. Give this a little stir here so I don't have any big chunks of pieces of chicken floating around. Or big globs of pieces that cook together and kind of congeal together. Take this. I gotta wash my hand. We'll wipe off the countertop and we'll move on to the pasta. Here, would you like to see the... Here, we're going to go here and go there. There we go. I didn't realize you left. So, we have our chopped up chicken. This is still raw. It's cooking, but we have our nice bits of chopped up chicken here. All floating through our soup. It's all going to cook in the stock nice and slow. There are a couple pieces that I missed that are going to be a little bit bigger. That's the beauty of homemade. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you want it to be perfect, you can take a little bit more time and chop it up better. I am just doing it quick because this is actually, if you were to use pre-made noodles, this would be super quick. Using homemade noodles, it's still fast. I mean, once you know how to make pasta, it only takes a couple minutes to prepare it. You let it sit and use your roller or a rolling pin and you can have your noodles made 10 minutes. I mean, it takes an hour to rest them, at least. But, yeah. This is not super difficult to do. So we have our pasta. The flour. How thick do you want these noodles? Not how wide, how thick. Do Do you want them egg noodle thick? Do you want them? I'm making them. I'm using the roller. So they're gonna be like linguine fat, but they can be as thick as you want them, or linguine wide. You really think I was gonna roll this stuff out by hand? Fuck that. Pardon me while I get my fucking lazy on. Pasta roller. So we go back over here. Yep. Come on now. There you are. Okay. Trying to get this lined up right. It doesn't always want to agree. This too wide. There we go. We have flour. We have pasta. Definitely, because I'm lazy. I'm rolling this out by hand. Gotta break out the bougie Coke knife. You can drop just a little flour on the board. We don't want too much. We don't want to make the pasta super dry. Put this out of the way. Don't throw your plastic away. You're gonna need it. And I'm gonna break this into quarters. No. Break it into thirds. And I'm just gonna kind of make it into a sausage shape. See, there's half. Here. Here. Roughly thirds. One piece at a time. The rest in the plastic wrap. Set them back aside so they don't get all dry and crusty. A little bit of flour on both sides. Press it out so it's kind of a flat disc. You know, yeah, about that thick. Half a finger width. There's a handle in here if it wants to go in. There we go. And this pasta dough is actually super soft, so it's going to roll out really easy. I made it that way on purpose. You can make your pasta dough a little bit drier. You can make it a little bit wetter. It's all just a matter of preference. The problem is with you doing it a little bit wetter, you run into that it starts to stick as it stretches. This is why we have the flour. Get a little bit of flour on here. Make sure nothing sticks. And we're making this to an egg noodle, so we're only going to go to a number 3. We don't want to go too thin. So this is number 3 on a wet dough. You can't see through it, but it is starting to thin a little. And then I'm going to put it through the linguine roller. And as it's a little bit thicker, so it goes through the linguine roller. Toss this with a little flour, and it'll start to well, maybe. Oh, see, it didn't want to break up. So we have to pull the noodles real quick here. They're cut, but they didn't cut all the way. Maybe my pasta dough is a little too dry. Or wet, I mean, or I didn't knead it enough. Either way is an option or a reason for what I'm doing now. This is why we do it in smaller batches. Do it in a small batch so you realize, oh, I screwed up. Adjust for the next batch, and you won't have that problem. So, yeah. But because I already rolled these, and I already ran them through the cutter, this is just kind of that little bit of extra work that I have to do because I didn't properly prep my pasta. Oh, and we have a clump. I'm just going to take that off. Oh, see, we got two actually. One on each end. I must have pinched it when I moved it around. But, yeah, so pasta noodles. Yeah, I think it's just too moist. I'm going to have to knead the dough a little bit and add a little flour to it. But here is our first batch of pasta. And kind of look egg noodle-ish. They will plump up a little bit as they cook. That's just what they do. So give me these two little pieces I cut off because I'm not going to waste those. Put this back in here. We're going to put a little more flour on this. Yep. And kneading pasta is really easy. Take it, fold it in on itself, push, little flour, fold, palm of your hand, push, turn, fold, push. That's easy. That's all you got to do. So now what we do is, because I kneaded it, we don't want to run it through the pasta roller now. Put that one there, and we'll do the other one too. Then make sure that you keep adding a little bit of flour, because as you knead it, it will start to stretch out and get sticky. You can kind of see there how it starts to pull, and look at how stiff that is now. It bounces right back. The kneading builds gluten. Now I'm doing this one a little bit more, so it gave this one time to rest, and we'll just put this one right back in plastic wrap. This one will be ready to go. So flour, a little bit on each side now. Take this back up to max. You can see the difference, how it kind of pulled a little bit, because I had glutened it up a little bit more. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. That's definitely bad. I bumped it apparently and switched it to 1. That's entirely too thin for what we're doing here. Why does this... Oh, yeah, look at that. My gear is turning. Okay, now it's locked in. Alright. On to number 7 again. Here we go. Now we're getting there. We gotta get it layered back out again. Okay. 6. Another one. Okay, so here, this is going to be too long. We're making an egg noodle type noodle, so we want them to be shorter. We don't want super length here. Oh. I don't think it's my pasta. I think there's something wrong. I think maybe my pasta roller is out of sync. Because half of these cut and half of them didn't. Which is weird. Even with the pasta being re-kneaded, flour added. See, like these two cut apart. But there's actually 4 noodles here. So I think maybe I need to take my pasta roller apart and readjust the settings. We'll get there. Flour, because we are... Well, thank you, Sherry. Don't worry, that's not all for the pasta, or for the cut pasta. I just poured it on top of the cut pasta. So I didn't have to move it over. And we just kind of shake it out. I want to make sure there's a decent coating of flour so the pasta doesn't stick. Let's see if we move over here. Oh, see, these cut even. Yeah, it's the pasta roller. I think the pin came out. Because if I move over, they actually cut a little bit different. So I think it's just out of sync. The importance of maintenance on your stuff. And me not keeping maintenance up on mine, apparently. Some more of our noodles. Let's try the other side here. See what that one does. And we'll go down this one. Yeah, see there. That one had a bunch more that didn't even cut into 2, so it's definitely just out of sync. That's all me. I thought it was the pasta. It's actually the machine. I guess it's a good thing I got the stock set on low. You know what I didn't do, though, is I didn't season the stock like I said I wanted to do, so it won't be over-seasoned, that's for sure. These are tossed real quick here. Make sure everything's coated. Let me grab my rosemary and thyme to throw in this soup. Rosemary and thyme. I'm doing fresh herbs, so I don't have to mess with. I guess I'm not using the rosemary. The rosemary has gone. I'll throw some thyme in there though. It's a couple of whole sprigs of thyme, so when the soup's ready to go, all you gotta do is pull it out. I missed the thyme by a day, or the rosemary by a day. See, if you pull it out when it starts to turn purple, you can actually dry it and you can save it. I did not. So, yeah, but there's thyme in there now. It's 2, 4, 5, 4 or 5 sprigs of thyme in there, fresh, and it'll just steep along with the stock. Oh, you know what should have been my first guess, that my gearing was off on my pasta roller, is the fact that my dial was moving when I was making the pasta, or turning the pasta down, that the lock wasn't grabbing. Yeah, there. It's okay. Before I am done this time, I will be sure to, or before I put it away this time, after I wash it, I will take it apart. I will re-lube all the springs and adjust all the pins inside so that it is set correctly, and I won't have this problem again. Make sure we get some nice flour coverage on here. As I said, it will get sticky. And now you notice that I'm not using my fingertips. When I touch the dough, when I grab it like this. I keep my fingers together inside the dough. If you start using your fingertips, you will actually start to puncture holes in your pasta as it gets thinner. And, well then, I mean, yeah. We're not in church, so I feel like holy dough is probably not something you want. My knife. We'll go here. It's a board knife, not an actual knife, but you know. I'm gonna go super slow. Maybe being like this, it'll be a little bit better in the cutter. It looks a little better. So actually get it to cut by the cutter and I won't have to do it, but I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah. Let's see what we ended up with here. Nope, see, even going slow. Still didn't. The cutter is really out of sync here. Yeah, that's bad. I'll get it fixed. It's not hard to do. There's some set screws on the inside. There's a couple on the other side, and then it slides over, and this plate comes off, and it takes all of 10 minutes to take it apart, repair it, and put it back together. It is not recommended maintenance on your sheet, which it should be. I guess they don't expect you to have them for 12 years. They don't expect you to actually use it as much as I do in the time frame of 12 years. So I use it a lot. A lot more than I thought I would. Here. Just kind of toss everything every time we add more because we don't want it to start clumping together. We get clumpy pasta, then we have clumpy pasta in our soup. Nobody likes clumps of pasta. Oh, this turned into a lot more labor than I thought it would because of the pasta roller. But I'm not blaming anybody but myself because, like I said, it was all me. I didn't check it. I haven't been taking care of it like I'm supposed to. This is all my doing. So I'll own it. And when you lube this, you want to make sure you use a food safe oil. They have actual lube for your pasta maker and your food devices. Non-petroleum based, vegetable based. Stuff that won't go bad. Like trying to pour vegetable oil on it is not going to work. It will spoil. Alright, so we're done with that. Oh look, another piece of noodle. Yeah, that's fresh noodle. Okay. Time to bring this up to a boil. Alright, let's see. Let's go over here to the cook cam again. Now you can see our chicken is done. We've got all those little bits and pieces of stuff floating around. There's our time. And like I said, when we get there, see it just kind of floats on top. When I go to thicken it here in a minute, when it comes to a boil, I do with these. Just take them out. They're hot, so be careful, but I mean, there you go. Our stock is now... Get off my spoon. There you go. It's now seasoned with the essence of thyme. I do have one little leaf in there still. Oh, two. Okay, right. There. This is not important to take out. It is completely edible, except for the stem. I'm just taking it out for aesthetics. You know, it's supposed to kind of look like Campbell's, like condensed soup. But here's our bits of chicken. You know, we've got some smaller ones, some bigger ones. So it's not going to be exact, but, you know, it's going to have that feel. Now I need to thicken this real quick. So, let me grab my container. only have a teaspoon of xanthan gum left, so we're going to get some more. Now we're doing xanthan gum. So here's a tablespoon of chicken fat and a teaspoon of xanthan gum. That's about the portion you want to get. And you want to put the xanthan gum directly into fat. Because what happens is it'll encapsulate the fat when you mix it. Or the fat will encapsulate it, sorry. The fat will encapsulate the xanthan gum. You can even use butter for this if you wanted. You know, room temperature soft butter. You don't want to use anything warm. And then we end up with this nice little creamy paste of fat. Then when we put it inside the soup, once it's boiling, it'll actually separate and not actually be one congealed mass like xanthan gum can do when people don't do it correctly. We're almost there. So we're going to thicken it. We're going to taste it, adjust our seasoning accordingly, and then we will put the pasta in. I know I'm going to need salt and pepper. For sure. We're just waiting for this to come up to a boil. And this here, this is just from the chicken. You could take the time and skim all that off if you wanted. But because I'm using the xanthan gum, all that stuff from the chicken itself is going to be just mixed in with the stock itself. If you're making this for a function, take this out because it'll make the soup look cloudy. This is for me. I don't care. So, but you just take a spoon and you go right along the edge and go over here where you can actually see it. And lightly touch the top of the soup, and you can pull that right off, put it right in a bowl, and it'll all come off. You'll get about 95% off fairly easily. And that's just to make your soup look clearer. I mean, you can kind of see through here as I move this out of the way how clear the soup is underneath it. And I said, it's just a matter of preference. I don't care, so I'm going to leave it on. It's just for me, my family. Like if you're making it for your family at home, they're not going to notice that you left this bit of cooked chicken fat and floating little pieces of debris on there. But that's it. It's completely edible. It just looks bad. But as soon as I put the xanthan gum in it and I start to give it a swirl and I add the pasta, that all goes away. It just kind of has a cloudy look in our stock. Bring the heat up a little more. Just starting to bubble. I brought it up to temp slow because I didn't want it boiling over, because this will cause it to boil quicker, to boil up and over quicker. Because it will foam. As you see, it's foaming here. This right here. This is the foam from all that. And we have our xanthan gum. Get all that in there. We're going to use our big spoon here. I'm going to make sure we get all this. And we're going to start stirring. And we're just going to slowly dribble our xanthan gum fat mix into the soup. You don't want to pour it all in one mass in standing still stock, because it'll clump. If you're really bad at this, you can put it into a sieve and whisk it through a sieve. And that'll prevent any clumps from occurring. This up to a rolling boil. Make sure we get all this here. Now I'm not going to adjust the seasoning right now. I'm going to put the pasta in. I don't want to turn this down and have to reheat it just in case it does, so that way it doesn't break. We'll take a part of our pasta and we're going to sprinkle it in. Don't drop it all in one clump, and we're going to keep it moving. We don't have to stir back and forth, but we just kind of keep it in a nice gentle motion with our pasta. As we put the pasta in, that way we don't end up with our pasta clumping like we ended up with there, which had nothing to do with that. It had to do with me not having enough flour. Son of a pup. Let's get all these in here that are broke up. Yep. Okay, here we go. And these here. So I got all those clumps out of there. It was a clump, and it was right at the bottom in the center, and it's right here. Yeah, that clump. There wasn't enough flour on it. That was all me. It can happen to anybody. I mean, so if it does happen, don't get upset. Don't get worried. Don't be concerned. These noodles take about all of 3 minutes to cook, so yep, nice boil rolling there. Don't mind me over here ignoring my soup. I'm saving my pasta. I did just make these super thin, so they'll cook real fast, but that way I'm not wasting the pasta dough. There's no reason in that. I made them thinner because they're rolled twice, which means that they're going to be a little tougher. But you make them thinner and that problem goes away. Okay. See, all of our noodles are starting to float towards the top. The viscosity on the soup has increased greatly. You'll see that here in a moment. We're going to turn this heat way, way down, all the way to low. You can see how thick that got. It's not like stew, but it definitely has some weight to it now. It's what they call nappe, which means it coats the back of a spoon. The chunks of chicken are no longer just stuck to the bottom. They're floating within the soup amongst the noodles. See, you got some here. Look at that chicken right there. Yeah. It's all just floating throughout. Take my spoon here. You can kind of see the viscosity there. It's not like liquid, but it's not stewish. It's just thick enough to hold together. And as I figured, it does need salt and pepper, but it has a really good chicken flavor. It's not too thick. And yes, I am adding quite a bit of pepper. The only other thing that would go in here is going to be onion powder. And I know that's going to sound a little weird, but yeah. There is onion powder is a prime ingredient in a lot of chicken dishes, like chicken nuggets, your McDonald's nuggets. If you look at recipes that people make for those, one of the big time ingredients is onion powder. It's one of the few seasonings that you're going to put in that are going to give you that taste that you thought you were missing. And we're going to add maybe a teaspoon, give or take. Nothing too specific there. You can put it in and taste it, get it where you like it. I know you're going to say, oh, I don't want to put it in there, but it's not going to taste the same. You're going to miss that. That why doesn't it taste like I thought it would? That was because of the onion powder. It's going to have a lot cleaner flavor than, you know, the stuff you would buy. Alright, now we're done cooking. The heat is off. Don't mind the fan blowing. It's just cooling the induction top down. Now, you don't want to leave this in this pot. You're going to serve it. You're going to put it in other containers, something that'll it'll cool down in, if you cooked in a cast iron. If you're using like an aluminum pan or something, set it aside. Let it cool, because it'll keep cooking those noodles, and the noodles end up puffed up and mushy. And nobody wants that. That'll be gross. Yep, right there it is. Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Just better. I ain't gonna say 100% better, but we will say that it is definitely 75% better than what you would get. I mean, compared to getting it from a can, it's definitely 100%. But, I mean, nostalgia-wise, how about that? Yeah. From a nostalgic standpoint, you will eat this and you'll be about 85% satisfied with the nostalgia of the flavor of the soup. If that makes sense to you. Like, you were expecting chicken noodle from the can, and this is about 85% chicken noodle from a can. So I'm gonna clean up my mess real quick here. Not all of it. There's still mess over here. But this here, so I can just have a nice clean surface area to eat off of and take a picture or two on. Grab a ladle. Ladle, ladle, ladle. Made you out of stainless. Yeah, stainless, because it won't fucking rust. Okay. We have bowls, we have spoons. Let us ladle in some soup. Now, I will point out that the only reason I made the noodles this way, because my significant other wanted the egg noodle kind of noodles. So, yeah, that was all her. And that's hers right there. Soup, Brie. Let me guess, this is where you tell me you're not hungry? I don't know where the crackers are, if there are any left. Because you don't know how to put them away. Okay. And there's our soup. You know what? Here, let's do this real quick. I got y'all. Hold on. There you go. How's that? Now you can really get a good look at the soup. Does that remind you of... obviously, it's not yellow like the fake yellow that you get from, canned soup. But does that have the semi look of what you would get from a can? Just better? I mean, because here's our lumps of chicken. Let me get rid of some of this stock here. There's our cooked chunks of all white meat chicken. It's kind of floating around in the soup. That is super hot. The soup is hot. I don't have any in there. I don't have one up here either. Oh. I guess it'll have to go in this. Don't mind my burnt bowl. That's burnt from doing stuff like this. Plastic is not ideal, but my other one is dirty or has something in it already, so I said, because I cooked mine in cast iron, I definitely want to get it out of the cast iron pan so the noodles will stop cooking. My wonderful gloves that my great friend Sherry got for me. And here's our soup. We're going to put this over here so it can cool down. I shall grab an aqua, my soup, a chair. Oh, we gotta lose the apron too. We're done cooking. We don't need this anymore. Oh, whew. All right. Okay. We have our soup. We have a bottled water because, healthy and stuff like that. And because I'm me, the soup is seasoned perfectly for everybody else. That's where you want to shoot for. You want to serve a soup that everyone can enjoy. If I made the soup how I wanted it, Bree would not be able to enjoy it. Because I like a little kick of salt in my food. I eat a lot of salt. I salt nearly everything. I've insulted a few people because I salt everything. It could be perfect and it could taste perfect, but for me to want to eat it, I want more salt. That's just who I am. And that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm not even going to lie about it. I like more salt. I like lots of salt. Yep. Oh, and my Well, you can't really see it because the camera's down. I have on one of my new 80s retro type design shirts. This one is named for one Allison. It's called I Hear Colors. It's like a neon sign almost. I'm not much a fan, but apparently it's popular. Mm-hmm. The noodles are a little thicker, so they have a nice little chew to them. But if you made them smaller, thinner, it looks really close, doesn't it? That was the plan. I mean, the color's not there. The color's a little off because I didn't put anything artificial in it. If you put a couple of bouillon cubes in this, it would definitely change the color and give you that canned soup look. But I also used concentrated chicken base, so it probably would make it really super strong. It smells really good. It tastes really good. It just looks pale, and the noodles aren't, they're not canned soup noodles. But yes, it's hot. I'm pretty sure. There's 3 people here, but I don't know who they are besides you. Yeah? Yeah, it's definitely good. That wasn't good. How am I supposed to eat it when the noodles just keep falling off? Mm-hmm. 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 Well, whoever the other 2 are, I don't care, but I'll let you know. Sherry already knows that I'm looking to add another monitor to my computer so I can take you along on my journey through World of Warcraft because I don't want to keep cooking all the time. So, if I have a bad night or I get in late or I order pizza or I get takeout, I can sit here and have takeout and play a video game and we can still chat. But, that's future plans. Pardon me while I cut up some of these noodles. I feel like they're just a bit too long. That's all me. I can assure you that the manufacturer is completely to blame for these noodles. Did you get that joke, Sherry? Are those noodles acceptable for your choice, dear? Oh, Bree. Do I need to throw something at you? Yo, bitch! I asked you twice if the noodles and everything were fine.
I'm reading, so.
I understand that you're reading. That's why I tried asking you nicely. But you just completely just ignored me. Like, fuck you, I'm in a book. So I had to get your attention. Don't give me an attitude because I needed your attention. I think that the noodles are too damn long. The manufacturer dropped the ball on the noodles and made them too fucking long. Do you get the joke? The manufacturer of the noodles made them too fucking long.
Blaming yourself?
Thank you. That's the joke. Thank you. I'm glad you got the joke. Yeah, so am I, right here. Oh, I'll be right back. Tired of people fucking driving by, looking inside. You know, because we go old school with it. You can judge me all you want. I don't care. Nostalgia, the bulk. That's all it is. It's to bulk up the soup. It absorbs some of the stock. They swell up. Makes it a little bit thicker, and it adds a little more bulk. And it adds a little bit of salt and flavor. This is my nostalgia. Right here. Crushed up saltine crackers in my soup. Mm-hmm. When are you going to download the game, Sherry? Okay, well, this is exciting. So I'm gonna play on my phone and eat my soup, clean up my mess, and probably go play some video games. So have a great night. Continue to make food porn at home because, regular food is just boring.